Hello. Am I live in the right place? I am. Sweet. How's everybody doing? It's starting to get cold out here. It was nice today. I kind of enjoy cooler weather. You know, when the sun was out, it was really nice. But I am just starting to get cold. It's been getting cold quickly in the evening here. Hello, hello. We are still within that 3 days from the new moon, and I had a little time, and I haven't done one of these in a while. I used to do these every week. It's hard to keep up with them every week, so I'm going to do new and full moons from now on, as many times as I can. Every once in a while, I miss that 3-day period before or after, because life gets in the way, but here we are. And really, this reading has nothing to do with the moon. It's just that the moon, we use that as like beginnings, new beginnings. And this week we've already pulled the Empress. So what we do in these readings, these are mini readings, and they're for the collectives. This is the message for everyone. So our mini readings, we start with what the focus is, and then we talk about the archetype that we can lean on, that we can get our wisdom from in the coming week. I guess it would be 2 weeks, and then I'll do one for the full moon. So this 2 weeks coming up. I will do another weekly card on Tuesday. I always do those. So the Empress is the unveiled Isis in the way that I understand the tarot, the way that I learn the tarot. And she represents the union of two polar opposites. And so she is a channel for creation to come through so that we can experience its duality. She's the manifestation and the result of inner balance. And she's just as the female reproductive system nurtures and births new life, so too does the throat and mouth from the words we speak into existence. So this is also a reminder here to that the words we speak become the house that we live in. Words are spells. And so when we speak out loud, we are speaking words of manifestation. And so if we're speaking words of beauty and truth, then we'll manifest a reality that's of the light. And on the contrary, if we're constantly telling lies and speaking with a sour tongue, then our reality will also reflect that. So what kind of thing are you trying to birth into the world? What are you speaking into existence? And so this is a great reminder to remember that sometimes we must surrender for the greater good, right? And for truth. We must make a sacrifice. We must all make sacrifices. And that's the common theme with the Empress, is making a sacrifice for the greater good as well, to create a world of true beauty. That sacrifice is necessary. She's enlightened embodiment, and she's a symbol of flourishing life. But when she's imbalanced, she's a symbol of the opposite. She's destructive. She can be a destructive force. And so, what are we trying to create? And what are we speaking into existence? And that's what we need to be focusing on this week. And the archetype for this week is the star. The star comes after the tower moment. So the lightning hits and the tower goes to the ground and everything burns to the ground, all so that we can begin again anew, right? And so we can build this time with a good foundation. But the star is that moment in between. The star teaches us that this was all in the highest good. That all of this upheaval that we just experienced is all for the highest good of the one. And we are all part of the one. But when that tower came down, we were left with nothing but our own reflection. And now it's time to take advantage of that gift of solitude, discovering that we have to create hope. It lives within us, hope. And so returning to the center of our own truth, we remember who we really are, that we're a vessel for light. Because 17 can be reduced to 8. If you add them together, the 1 and the 7 makes an 8. That's balance. This is the balance card. And so they will, they kind of mirror one another. And so it's about remembering balance and remembering that whatever is taken from us in life, it can't really be destroyed. It's like when it's transformed, when a star is transformed, here's a good analogy or a good metaphor. When a star is transformed, it becomes a black hole. And what is a black hole? It's a force of nature that expands infinitely. It expands infinitely. And this teaches us that no matter how many times we fall, that we only return again to the light. And this happens as well when we die, but also it happens while we're still living. It's all of our mini deaths and all of our rebirths. Managed to catch you twice in 1 week. Hey, Rachel. Through a tower moment recently. It's birthing new energy. It's interesting how many tower moments we have in life. Some are bigger and more profound than others, and others are like tiny deaths. But yes, it's fascinating. And this happens repeatedly over and over again throughout our lives, right? We just have to remember, right, that our ego can shout over the quiet voice of intuition, through the whisper of our inner knowing, and that can pull us into a downward spiral of getting in our head and thinking mentally how things just went to shit and how shitty it is, and not seeing it as an opportunity for new growth, and not taking advantage of that time where there's nothing to keep track of. It's all burnt to the ground. And we didn't even start building again yet. And so we're in this moment of gestation. And the funny thing is that archetype that would come up would be the star, which is that moment of gestation where you're integrating the experience of everything getting torn down and coming up with that hope, finding it within yourself and you're in that own light, so that we can then decide to birth the next thing that comes through, which is interesting because that's what the Empress is about as well. And so we are that powerful, right? Where we begin to realize that we are one. We are one with the almighty force of lightning, with God, with the one, with the Creator that struck down what didn't have a solid foundation, what wasn't for the highest good. And so just as the lightning returns to the world, we must remember to return to the light within. And in our darkest moments, we're reminded to return to ourselves. When we have nothing left, we see what has always been there, with the light that's been inside of us, because we have nothing else to distract us anymore. There's none of this shit going on distracting us. It's just us looking at ourselves, looking at our reflection in the water. But we can't even truly see ourselves in the reflection in the water until those ripples stop. And so this is a sacred pause. This is a sacred pause to remember to look into our inner light and to gather our hope, and to remember that this journey is about all these many deaths, and so that we can birth new life. And that's we're women. That's what we came here to do. That's our purpose. We do it through our bodies, and we do it also in many other ways throughout our lives. And so this is the time where we want to focus on allowing that hope to build while the ripples smooth out, and to allow ourselves to remember our own light while we're waiting, so that we could take a look at our own face. When we're able to see our reflection in the water again, is when we can start building again, when we can really take stock of what's valuable and what's not valuable, what's working and what isn't working. We discover here that alone really means all one. We're not separate from our Creator. We're not separate from our Creator. And so without the noise of the ego or the distractions of the shit that went down with the tower, we are left with nothing else to distract us from creating the ideal conditions for directing our energies inward. And now we can meditate in our own internal processes, returning to tend to the balance, that desire, that constant force of the universe that's constantly trying to reach a state of balance. And remember that that's our subconscious mind as well, and it's the hidden emotions of the heart. It's beautiful. So that's what we can lean on. Our sacred pause, are those quiet moments after the tower burns to the ground and we're left with nothing but ash. And then there's this pool of water and there's ripples through it, and we can see ourselves, but not perfectly clearly yet. And so while we're waiting for these ripples to settle, we are remembering that we have to turn within for hope, and that we are never alone. We are never alone. We are all one. And so we can't be alone. And this is about a journey of trying to get back to our truth. And the answers are within. And so when the dust settles, we want to make sure that we can clearly see our own reflection, so that we can then build again from a place of truth, and from a place that and we want to build a good foundation, so that there won't be any more crumbling of the realities that we put together. And in the meantime, we're in such a powerful void of creation that we have to watch what we say and what we wish for and what we're saying out loud and the thoughts that are going through our heads. Because literally what we say and do right now is speaking our next manifestation into existence. And it's the time of a new moon as well. So this all goes together beautifully. It all goes together beautifully. So be patient while you're waiting for the ripples to smooth out. And remember that you have a light within, and that you're never alone. I love you all so much. This is just a mini reading. I do monthly readings like this. In a 5-card spread and in a 10-card spread. And so what we do is we follow a very similar pattern, and then we go with the different areas of your life. So we touch on the main areas of life. So you have your health, your wealth, your relationships, your daily practice or your habits as well. And then you can ask questions as well, like if you have a specific question or a specific thing that you want some guidance on. That's how I do the readings. But these are the ones that I do for the collective, because it's a little harder to get so personal into those different aspects of personal life on a collective level, if that makes sense. So if you would like a reading, let me know. I will pop a link below in the comments. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me tonight. I will be here tomorrow at 4 p.m. New York time. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. New York time, I'm doing the Waking the Witch that I do every week on Thursdays. It's usually about 20 minutes, a half an hour long, And we're going to talk about the shadow. We're going to talk about what the shadow is and where the idea of the shadow came from and what good could it bring to our lives and how can it benefit us. And then next week, we'll probably talk about how to start to begin to uncover the shadow. So, because 'tis the season to uncover those hidden aspects of ourselves as we get closer and closer to the darkest time of the year. It's time to descend into into the underworld of our own psyche and learn what aspects of ourselves we are missing out on. There's creativity in there. It's not just things that we want to pretend aren't there. There are gifts there, soul gifts, that we don't know we have. We need those. We need those. And we need to love ourselves entirely and wholly. We are on a path of becoming whole again. And on this path, we're learning that we were never not whole, but that there are parts of ourselves that we aren't aware of. And so we're learning how to bring those back into the light so that we could use them for the good of ourselves and for the good of humanity. And so, thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I am going to get on a live now with the ladies that are in the Awaken Her Magic program, and we are going to do a guided meditation, and we're going to dive into our shadow tonight together. And so I can share some of the aha moments tomorrow when I see you guys tomorrow. 4 p.m. New York time. Love you guys. Have a great evening.